Here you have yourself the 1999 VW Jetta Mark III. It's the old body style. These were in production from 93 to 99, June of 99. The beginning of the year of 93 or 92 to June of 99 is when this was manufactured from. This is the last of the last. Anyways, we're replacing inner and outer tie rods. I already loosened up the tie rod bolt. You gotta loosen this up first. Obviously take the tire off. Upper jack stand mounts. Make sure it's even double supported because you're gonna be kind of possibly getting some torque on in the tie rod. My boot is actually bad on both sides, so I'm gonna be replacing the boots too. Hopefully I have the right one, otherwise I gotta go run to the store and get it again. What you want to do is first remove this bolt, loosen it back, loosen this one up. If there's no cutter pin, loosen out just enough where it's flat with the tip. This way you don't damage the threads when you hammer it up to get from the shaft. This way you don't damage the boot. In my case, my boot's bad, and replacing the outer one too at the same time. Next step is you want to count how many revolutions this is coming off. We got a lifetime alignment through Firestone. You could be doing a couple. If you got really crappy roads and you're near a Firestone, they offer a lifetime alignment on their products, regardless if it needs it or not, if you replace something or not. So 1, 2, 21 revolutions. You got to put it back on in the new one. Also double check the length of the tie rod end versus the new one. They are different per side. They are marked left and right for dummies. This one, the boot was broken, but kind of weird was that after 225,000 miles, it's not a bad socket, it's just a bad boot. Probably could replace the boot, but probably wouldn't last too much longer after that, before the grease and everything dried up. There's nowhere to repack it unless I drilled and tapped it. And at that point, why bother? So it's the only time to take it off. The next step is to take off the boot. You can have two pieces like that. All it takes is a simple flathead to take it off. Luckily I have long flatheads, so I don't have that issue. Well, maybe I will, because it's not going to fit in there. Just rain up at me. Do my job. It'd be kind of fun. There we go. So you can either get into this little slot if you get a small enough flathead, and then it'll twist right off. These were called band clamps. They're available at I've heard that they're available at Harbor Freight. I hadn't seen them there. Maybe my Harbor Freight has hidden somewhere. There's a special tool that actually twists and makes that little clamp, or that pinch right here. I've actually seen these in the plumbing section at Home Depot. Last place I would actually think they would be at, but that's where I've seen them. You will have another clamp like that on the inside, but since my boot's already broken, well, you can spray some grease on it, or just kind of break it loose there like I did. It should come off if it's already broken in half. Of mine is This job does require Loctite. I don't have any on me. I'm just going to dab it a little bit with JB Weld. It's equivalent to the red Loctite. There's a permanent and there's a non-permanent one. Jeez, this is going to be a bitch to get off. Coat grease right here. What I did was I grabbed some of the grease that was inside the old joint. And I'm just going to coat the shaft with it. See, it comes right off now. A little quick tip. Since it's already broken in half, that makes it a little bit easier. If it's not broken in half, you need to spray some silicone in there. This one's actually a decent tie rod in. There isn't any slack in it, but just because the boot was broken, because I have new boots, I got new tie rod ends, it's getting replaced. I'm not going to fuck with it. Next thing we need is tie rod end removal. If you can get a wrench on that, you could try, but it requires removing the whole lower control arm, which I'm not doing. This is designed to go over the shaft and this locks it on. And what you gotta do is first you gotta figure out which one of these little horseshoes actually fit your old tie rod. And it's gotta be pretty decently tight. Obviously it's way too big. So, I don't know what size that was. Try this one here. This procedure works on both front ends, the cast iron or the aluminum. I can't remember which one's the aluminum and which one's the cast iron, but it will work on either one of them. This procedure. Tie rod end is a little bit different. Ah, found it. Okay. Alright, so how this works is this long ass piece goes over the tie rod and gets sucked inside. What this piece does is when it gets, you have it set on the tie rod end, you have it right here and you can put it in there and you can lock it. This way it doesn't get pulled out or say it gets locked. And then it acts like a socket and then it just turns and then you're good to go. So all you need to do is set this like this on the tie rod end. I have yet to see, I've done, I don't know, hundreds of these jobs. I've yet to see one that can be taken off with an impact. I do have an Ingersoll, it's not like some cheap piece of crap impact. And I also am using the that bolts I needed for replacing the AC. That's another job that I got going on right now. Just doing this one because the parts doesn't came in from Rockada. I've yet to see the one come off with an impact. I think it's because this whole tube torques, or there's so much slack and everything that it just makes it where you can't remove the inner tie rod. But no biggie. That's my breaker bar and a see, that's one thing I hate about this. Some of them have like they have a back lip so you can stick it on there, and then some of them don't. So you have to kind of hold it as you stick it on. This one doesn't. That's why you have that little metal piece there. Keep everything kind of. You can't stick this piece on before you can stick the other piece on. It's a two-step process. There's just so much room to work with. When you do this job, you will have to do the alignment afterwards. You might be able to get away with using string and having the tires lined up again and having the steering wheel center, but I wouldn't do it that way. I would actually just go get it aligned with the Groupon, get it cheap. Sorry, that was FedEx guy delivering my parts, my AC unit. So, now you see how this goes on with the breaker bar. And it's going to turn. That's it. This really wasn't on that tight, surprisingly. Got it stripped. In a second. No, it just moved a little bit. Still kind of torquing. I'd be kind of afraid if it was on that loose. It's just rain would just hold up for a minute. I'll get this shit taken care of. Yeah, here we are. There we go. So it was not on there very tight. There you go. So it's internally threaded. Looks like there's some. Is there leakage in there? Maybe just something to put grease on it, just over time, just leak a little bit. Oh well. Step 2, pop the hood. It's time for it to start pouring. Set my little plant up. Alright, I don't know if you can see it from here. No. Anyways, it's way down into that part of that boot. We're gonna have to remove it. Probably gonna be easier to do from the right in here. Alright, step 2. Check new with old. See how this one's a little bit looser. Still tight. I guess if somebody wanted, they could use it, but not me. Probably replace it one time. Yeah, make sure that everything matches up before you start putting everything together. You can see the thread's gonna be slightly different, and okay, not gonna happen. Anyways, we have to measure it kind of eyeball. So putting it on 21 times, the new tie rod end shouldn't be an issue. I already checked the boot. The boot tip was a little bit smaller. Put some grease on it and just open right up. There is an orientation to these things. When you put them on, you cannot sit there and twist it back and forth to put it on. It has a balancer for the boots so they don't blow off because of air pressure or grease or whatever. And between the two boots there's a little hose that goes back and forth and make it where these boots don't blow. And the little hose has to be connected. And you could see it. A screwdriver for you. And it's right there. Kind of messing with it. See how it moves around a little bit? You got to make sure you plug it in there properly when you do it. So let's go ahead and get this knocked out. say so far it's only been roughly, to make sure you find the correct tool for it, just so we can put it on. I think probably about 20 minutes. You have to stick the tie rod on first before you can stick the boot on. Oh. Got a little jiggy weld for Loctite because I didn't bring any with me. I'm not gonna go crazy on it, just enough to where I can break it free down the road. Even though it's probably a no-no. I've had these come off before. But it's normally with vehicles with higher mileage. Roughly around this mileage is when they start breaking. Yeah, stop the video. So, give me some JB weld. Not gonna go all He-Man on this shit, just enough to keep it from coming undone. That's all it really needs. You don't need a. It's the same thing if you're using the Loctite. Just a dab of G. I'm just trying to make it where if I need to break it off, I can down the road. That's all. That's all I'm gonna use. Make sure you also don't get this, you don't mix the hardener on the caps or get them anywhere near each other, because you won't be able to get it off with the cap the next time you need to use it. To mix this, I'm just going to use the little band clamp. If you want it to harden quicker, you can put a little more hardener. If you want to harden slower, you can put a little bit less hardener, and just put it. It's all how you preference. Good gray is a good color. This isn't the quick stuff. This is the more high intensity stuff. So that's really all. I'm not gonna put very much on there, just so that it stays put. Don't really need much more than that. I mean, that will be probably a bitch to get off down the road, but it won't be a wreck down the road. I'll throw this mount on the thread. Good second, yeah. You do need to know what rack you have on this. I don't have a way of, I might have a way of comparing them. I have to look at the other VW I had. I'll make a video on that one. But at the moment, I don't have a way of comparing them. I forget which one's which, but if you have a checkering pattern, little squares on the rack, you have one rack. If you just smooth rack, you have the other. And you need to know that because one of these is externally threaded tie rod end, and the other one's internal threaded. This one's an internal thread because it has a male end on for the tie rod, and the other one is externally threaded. And I'm just really surprised that everything's so damn tight after so many miles. But the reason why I'm using, well, I really don't care about using, I guess, Loctite or not, because the car already has 200-something thousand miles. By the time it hits 400,000, I probably won't have a damn thing anymore. Probably moved on something newer down the road. So you want to get these things under tight. The altitude, don't want to strip it when you're putting it on. So yeah, constantly make sure that when you move it, it doesn't come off the shaft there. Good enough now. Next is put the boot on. I said, since I still have the tie rod, I'm using the grease off it to rub on the shaft here, and take a little more. Well, I'm kind of getting dry there. Don't need much. I'm rubbing the inside right here. So this way it's easier to get on and off. And you're doing adjustments to try to get this thing correct. You can try to put a band clamp on this, or you just use a zip tie. I think they come with zip ties. Let's find out. There's a sealed box. Oh, here's another sealed box. Nope, they don't come with anything. So you gotta supply your own stuff. Well, it depends on what brand you buy. I have this one backwards because put it on and put it off and make sure it's fit. See, that's how it's supposed to look. And since we already know that the pieces down here have kind of a, not 45, maybe a 45 degree angle there. I'm going to kind of shove it that direction. So either that goes on with grease, it's like all the goddamn difference. I don't know why they put that dampener on there. So now I gotta take it off because it's in the way of my boot. I guess it's there to keep the boot from collapsing. I don't know, it's not needed. On the old, it's not going to go in the new. I guess it's some kind of dampener piece. Hold on. There we go. Oh, I should have forgot to line it up. Okay. Line that piece up back there. That hole right here. Right here. it did. No, of course not. Get the point. Next is this piece. This one has to be greased, and I like it because it has actually got castle nut on it. It's got the old-fashioned kind of boot and tab, where it's not 100% sealed, but it is a mood. So the boot just kind of like it's a dust cover rather than anything else. So these are like the old-fashioned type. They get kind of messy over time, even though you had them sealed up like that. Grease will still come out from right around here if it's not sealed. So back in the olden days, this is really all you saw. But it's kind of harder to find these kind of. These do dry right over time if you don't constantly shoot grease into these. So, right, can I grab a seat? Good to know. Look at the part. I'll grab the right one. I need to actually get the left one. Left for left, and the same part back. They're both the same part. All I can say is thank you, Rock Otter. And so I'm gonna do this 21 times. Remember? That's 1, 2. I'll use the bag I've already opened up. So they're the same parts inside the bag. First, put your little grease cup on. And your castle nut. There's a big difference between these two. Here's the old. The newer style, here they are. See, this is the, I guess you could say, newer style setup. There's a little plastic in there. That only can be taken off and put on once, and this thing's a throwaway after that. Also, too, the old high rods didn't have a hole like that to put your calcium nut on to put your carter pin in. So it won't back off, it just has to sit there and stay locked. The newer ones, they utilize that plastic right in here to keep it from backing off. Over time, what happens with plastic, it backs off and breaks. This is the old true tried method, it doesn't have any issues. Here's why everybody's getting away from these cost more money to make. So if you get a choice between a calcium nut lock nut like this, the castle. And that's just some kind of torque specification that you need that the castle nut can provide, which would be kind of hard to come across, but it is possible. See, the new, I guess you could say the newer style don't have that. Not to say it's a bad style, it's just that it just has, I guess, a cheaper safety feature. Not to say it comes off all the time. I just say there's nothing to prevent it from happening. So what you do is you gotta torque this down to tight. And don't remember to grease it, you gotta put the little nipple on. You can do that before or after, it doesn't matter. Yes, I know, improper use of tools. Should be using the correct wrench for this, but it's a suspension part. You can see how it bends. There's a little hole right there in the corner, left side. You need to line that up with either this one or this one. So either you need to tighten it more, or you need to back it up a tad to get the cotter pin in there. So I'm going to try to tighten it up a tad. Yeah. Now get enough room to get the cotter pin in there. You always want to put the pieces that are going to point out towards the inside of the car, because it's going to hit right here if you don't, and sit there and rub and break. And the longer side goes down, always. Makes it a little bit easier to pull on it when you need to pull on it to get the pin set. Put on your tire. Obviously, you gotta grease it. Don't grease it until it's like dripping grease. That's the whole idea. It's just enough to get it where it's tight. And then tighten this nut up right here. The last bit of safety before you can start driving the vehicle. Don't worry if it torques down like that. That's normal. There we go. If you really want to make sure you do it right, you gotta hold it like this. And get the other one on there as extra bracing. So if you do it like that, it's probably recommended to do it this way. You try to get the old one off, because if the old one's got any bit of slack whatsoever from age, it'll just spin and break off, and then you'll be stuck trying to monkey fuck this and trying to get the bolt off with the shaft that's sitting there moving around on it, or we got to hammer it back on. This being greasable should last longer, so but it should at least last 100. You probably get around 150 out of these before you got any more problems. After you do that, after you grease it, make sure you tie this up with either a hose clamp of some sort. And then you gotta put, this is gonna be tight, so I'm not gonna really put a clamp on it. I'm just gonna make sure I'm gonna put something on it for the tube on the back side. This way the bellows stay on the steering rack. That's how you change your inner tie rod. I'm attaching this video. I'm doing the other side. I'm showing you everything except jacking the vehicle up and taking the tire off. Exactly how long would it take an average person to take off the inner tie rod and outer tie rod and replace them with the new inner tie rod and outer tie rod and boot and everything else. Let's go at it. them, tighten them, get some threads off, and then in my case, that's what it was. If you're going to use the outer tie rod, you want to move the bolt down to about this part. Hit it. And it should come right off. But you want to make sure you move this down first. Before you take it off the knuckle. Only uses a few turns. To take off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 22, 23. Up and the sun came out, and it cleaned as hell. This clamp right here, it's a little lock clamp. They sell them at Home Depot, I know for sure. And we gotta remove it. See? Sometimes you can go from this angle here. Just gotta pry it off those little lips. Let me see how it comes off. Almost got little catches here. What I gotta do is, it's got little catches here. All I gotta do is lift it off like that. That's good to go. If it's broken, replace it. On the outside, I'll take some grease from the inside. I'll put that off. It's already torn and broke. If you never plan on replacing them, so you can just keep it that way. Get half of it off, but the other half off later. Otherwise, you're sitting there messing with to get it off. Get cheap and reuse them. They're only like $9 or $10. And small insurance pages have to replace. before you do the side, you want to turn the wheel the opposite direction. So if you're doing the right side, you want to turn the wheel all the way to the left. If you're doing the left side, you want to turn the wheel all the way to the right. This way you can get your knuckle out as far as possible. The last thing you want to do is when you're pushing in a small little cavity. Do all your work, not all of it. Shaft. Nope, it's already broken loose. I guess they don't have much torque on them, or just aid the previous owner. Mine are pretty decent, but I'm gonna replace them anyways. Just because of age and unknown. And the boots were broken for so long. Who knows how long these things have left in them. They are genuine VW, so they look original. That or the guy was, or a previous owner was, had a lot of money. Have everything replaced by the dealer. Next up is the band clamp off the other one. The inside boot. Get this inside boot off. And yeah, look, see where that band clamp is at. Sometimes you just gotta feel around in there to do it. Okay, so it's on, feel the lip is on this side. All you gotta do, can't see. Just gotta get it behind there and take it off. It comes off that easy. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they're not the easiest to get off. Most cases. These on with another band clamp, unless you're removing the entire motor or the power steering rack, then I would worry about it. So band clamp is off. Yeah, I sit there and hammer the hell out of it to get it off, but it was on there pretty decently. Can't can't say that about the boot. Oh, easy way to get the boot off is a pair of pliers, long ones, and it comes right off. Couple tries as well. Or it just tears because it's so dry rotted. Try to pull it from different directions. Or have it keep coming off in pieces. One way or another it's coming off. There, see? Come off. There you are. Oh shit. This came off with it. Not supposed to happen like that, but did. So now we gotta do it on the other side. Alright, that was only a 2-minute job. What happens is it's got a little hole on the other side. And you can't see it, but anyways, it merely just pushes back in. As long as you'll have it lined up on both sides of the rack. There's actually a hole on that mount right here that's mounted to the car itself. And you just gotta line it with the other side and push it gently. And it goes right back in the hole it came out of. So it's actually not a big deal as I thought it would be. Alright, we're gonna continue on from where we left off. Shows everything now. Alright. These inner tie rods require, if there's no locking pin or castle washer or something similar that would hold everything from coming apart. By the way, I used, since the brand is called Original Grade, I don't know how original it really is, but that's the brand name of it. They have these stupid little dampener, vibration dampener, I guess they have on there. I guess it's for another column in the vehicle. They don't fit with the boot on. I already tried it on the other side. So, but continuing on, before we put these, put it back in and torque it back up, you need to put some kind of Loctite. I'm going to use a little bit of JB Weld. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that should prevent it from coming off and make it a bitch in the future to take off. But if you have a little bit of grease in your old inner tie rod, you can wipe it on the shaft to make it easier to get the boot and this dampener off without any issue. Once it gets on the rubber part. So, I'm gonna mix some JB Weld together. I mean, a tiny bit. Probably doesn't say in the book to use any, but you know what? Small insurance. Because coworker's car actually broke or came off. Not sure yet. The boot's still intact, so we can't see. And you got the parts on order, so we just ordered everything new. He's got 160,000 on his VW, and I got 225, which we're on 26 on this car. So alright, see, got a little bit on there. Didn't need a lot. If I need to take this off, I'll be able to take it off down the road. I have to. Before we really get on there, you want to probably make sure what size piece fits it. It's undecently tight now. Tighten up, but it was tight. Anytime you rotate it, you have to pull it off, put the horseshoe back on direction. The gravity will hold it on. Hubbard Freight sells these. AutoZone rents them. O'Reilly's rents them. You have Advanced who rents them. It's just an inner tie rod remove tool. I own mine because I've done it so many times. And then I got like 36 hours to return it undamaged. Not to say I've damaged them before. Over a little bit of grease. Get everything on there is easier. Start off and slide it on. Make sure you line the tube up for the hole. You can't sit there and twist it on, it has to go on there in one direction. Alright, let's get the bellow on. It took every bit of a half hour to do. What happened was the tube was too close to the steering shaft, and I'll show it to you. Anyway, the vent tube was too close to the outside shaft here that makes it so they were touching each other. So every time I kept trying to push it on, this tube was pushing up against that little bit of rubber right there, so it wouldn't go into there. So I had to sit. After I figured that one out, bent the tube back, everything went on easy breezy from that point forward. So one thing to check, make sure the vent tube is spaced out enough. Before you stick on the inside clamp, which is going to be your zip tie. As crappy as that sounds, that's the only way you can do it. This one doesn't have a ratcheting system on it. Anyways, you want to put on a little bit and then slip it on. Make sure whatever way you're going to do it, you can pull. I'm going to try to pull from the back side. So I'm going to slip it on as far as I can, pushing off the screwdriver, whatever means are necessary to get it onto the last lip there. Once you get onto the last lip, then you can take a needle nose and pull it down, and then that boot should be on there pretty decently from that point forward. So this one on the right side is a little bit more pain in the butt because you have your engine mount, your rear right engine mount that's right there in the way, so you can't pull it from the front side as you can on the other side, and you have your support and everything else from the back side, so you can't get it from pretty much any angle except from the center of the vehicle. So that's what I'm going to have to do.